Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio, and we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I want to give a special shout out to our friends at E360 TV. Thank you so much for distributing our program. So this is a woman's prerogative, and if you've never joined us before, welcome. We actually have 2 episodes of a woman's prerogative every week. Why? Because there's so much to talk about. Yay! So today, wherever you are, we're going to be talking about detoxing from the drama, raising the standards and lowering the noise. So if you've ever been here before, you know I'm not alone. The star of our show is actually an entire day ahead, a season ahead, and a lot of thought process ahead of where we are. So let's welcome Mariska DePria to the show, and then we'll do her introduction. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Very good. And you? I'm not sure about the thought process ahead, but yes, for all the other ones, I do have a tendency to be a little bit ahead of where you are.
Well, the reason why I said that was because you are in the first part of your day. I'm in the last part of my day. So I think you are probably mentally further ahead than where I am right now. So for people joining us for the first time, tell us where in the world you are and what you're doing there.
So I am all the way in Australia. If you are in the Asian Pacific area, that would be close to me. If you are, however, not in the Asian Pacific area and on the other side of the planet, like Dr. Jacalyn, that's a little bit further away from me. And what I do is I coach as well as train leaders within the human space. So being a little bit more human in our environment so that we can bring the best out of our team members, as well as, first and foremost, ourselves. So doesn't matter whether you have or have not got the title of leader, thinking about stepping into leadership within a formal setting, or whether you are just leading within your own life. These are skills that we can use in a wide variety of spaces. And typically I try to apply them in the work environment. And as I said, we can also just apply them with our families, with our friends, in other areas as well. So they are always good skills to have, utilize, as well as get a little bit more familiar with and better at, because it makes us better humans in general. So that's what I do and where I'm from. And I cannot wait to see what comes up in our topic today.
Well, thank you so much. And by the way, I want to encourage audience participation. If you are positive and you want to share something positive and encouraging, we don't want to hear your political views or your negativity. Sorry, take it somewhere else. Okay, so today's topic, this afternoon's topic is detoxing from drama. So do you ever recall a conversation? Maybe you were part of it. You were the one doing the talking or you're the one doing the listening. And this person or you were just complaining and going on and on and on about something that seems so trivial when you look back. But at the time, it was a big issue. Have you ever been part of something like that, Mariska?
Well, I could think of a number of different occasions where that might have Slipped in. Yes.
Thank you for your honesty and candor. I appreciate it. So, when we look at everything that can possibly go on in our life, sometimes there are these little teeny tiny annoying things. And maybe in one day we might have more than one because we're in the kind of frame of mind where it seems like everything's going wrong. And so everything doesn't go our way. So, we have different ways of processing that. We can actually take the high road, or we can take the low road, meaning we can come from a positive place or we can come from a negative place. So you have extensive amount of experience coaching people. You have significant credentials. What do you do when you have someone who finds themselves constantly surrounded by drama?
Wow. Well, luckily I don't have anybody that's constantly surrounded by drama, but as you mentioned, drama does come up. And we do have a tendency to, I almost think about drama as mold. So we have a tendency to have areas in our life where we might be cultivating some mold. And then other areas where we actually let the space breathe, get in fresh air, make sure that there's some healthy processes and cleaning that takes place, so it doesn't cultivate any moldy things. So within the drama, when it is, especially when it comes up within a coaching conversation, first and foremost, what I typically tend to do is turn that little mirror so that we can see what it is that we are doing that might be contributing to this thing. As you mentioned a little bit earlier on, Dr. Jacalyn, we can choose to take the high road or maybe the lower road where we are playing into this more and we are taking the bait and we are cultivating our little moldy experience. So understanding what we are contributing to it. Drama does not just happen by itself. It's not possible for it to happen by itself. It needs interaction from different places. So that's the first thing that we do. And especially in coaching conversations, I mean, and just in general life, the only thing, the only person, the only actions and behaviors we can ever change is our own. We can try to influence the other person, but we cannot change their behaviors, their thought patterns. That's up to them to do. So we can only do it for ourselves. So that's where I would start first. Dr. Jacalyn is taking the mirror and looking into it and seeing what the hell I am contributing to this that might be causing it, and or just staying in it might be part of that, right? How about you?
I love that. Thank you. And for anyone who's wondering, we're talking about drama. And sometimes people like to stir the pot. They like to be in the center of the drama. They like to cause the drama, or sometimes they like to help perpetuate the drama. And I call that stepping into the fire, where you help make the flames go higher and higher. And I don't want to be anywhere near any of that. I have to say, when I was younger, I was in the midst of drama, and I did cause a lot of it because of the way I reacted. So even though something happened that was out of my control, the way I responded was inviting drama. So that's what we're really talking about today, folks. If you find that your life is chaotic and filled with drama, as Mariska said, you look in the mirror and think to yourself, what role am I playing in this? How did I show up when the drama started? So let's go from there, Mariska. The person looks in the mirror and they go, and after that, they say, you know what? I have all this drama going on and I don't really know what my role is or what I did to cause it. How do they start to come to terms with that, to understand their role?
Well, I think first off, it's while you are looking in the mirror, right? Just noticing, just seeing what is it that you are noticing? What is it that you are seeing? What roles might you be perceiving is being played? If you don't have any clue whatsoever what might be going on, there is frameworks out there, like, for example, the drama triangle. That's quite often used within the psychiatry space. We also use it within the coaching space. to see what role you might be contributing to. And it might be something like, so if we look at the drama triangle, you get the prosecutor, the victim, and the rescuer. And you might think that, oh yeah, I am the rescuer, so I'm doing a good job in this space. But by playing a rescuer, we are sending a victim further into victimhood. And we might be sending a prosecutor further into prosecution. We also, if we are the rescuer, when we go to the prosecutor because we want to help the victim, we become the prosecutor. So understanding what it is that you have, what's your role within that space, how are you reacting to the thing that you are reacting to? And I would always say very first step is noticing it, right? You won't necessarily be able to change it right away. It does take a wee while for us to not step into the hole of that proverbial story where you walk down the road and you fall in the hole and you take a while to get out of it. So notice what's happening. Notice what's happening for you in your body. Have your body as a sensory system that gives you information. Because as soon as we step into the drama, we will notice that our body might go tense. We might increase our breathing. We might have a pain somewhere in our jaw, our neck, our heart area, whatever the case might be. So notice your body when you go into that space, or even if you think about the space, your body will show you what's happening for you. If you are not in tune with your body for whatever reason and you can't really notice it, take something significant and heavy. So what I have, for example, is rocks, right? So something that fits into your hand. This is a little bit of a big rock, something that fits in your hand that you can hold on to and that has enough weight for you to notice it. Put it in your hand. Just notice the rock first, right? And how it feels. So it helps you to be present and grounded. And then notice what's happening in your body. And just the noticing at the beginning would be a very good, effective first step for us to then step into the next step. Dr. Jacalyn, what would you say would be your first step when you don't want to step into dramas anymore?
Well, I appreciate what you shared. I think the first step is realizing that it's okay, that you don't have to feel shame and blame. You just have to accept ownership and accountability, responsibility, and say, you know what, I do have a role in this. And then from there, it's what is the solution? Am I capable of making changes, or do I need some help? Do I need to talk to a coach or a mentor? And if it's mental health related, maybe a therapist, a family counselor, who knows? But it's first of all acknowledging that it exists, because a lot of times I think what we do is we pass it on to someone else. Well, it's not my drama. She started it. It's her drama. She's at the center of it, right? Just get rid of it. It has nothing to do with me. But yet, because we actually are looking at it and not accepting any responsibility, that's a red flag. So it's never just one person. Maybe something happened to someone else, or maybe something happened to us and we made someone else aware of it, or we became aware of it, but we still have a knowledge, and how we're reacting to that says a lot. Are we coming on the offense? Are we on the defense, or are we neutral? And so I think either way, offense, defense, meaning that you are coming at it aggressively or you're coming at it passively, can mean that you're still part of it as opposed to being neutral. What do you think?
That is very true. And I think it is around looking in the mirror and realizing that we have a part and we need to take responsibility for whatever size of the part it is. Because if we don't do that and we just put it onto somebody else or the situation or the whatever, we still have a reaction, right? And that reaction isn't anybody else that has the reaction other than us. We have the reaction. The thing might have happened good, bad, ugly, doesn't really matter. It might be a human, it might be nature, it might be a whole bunch of different things that had an influence on it. But we are having the reaction to the thing. And your reaction, you can always decide what that is. So to your point, Dr. Jacalyn, being it a defense, offense, or a neutral stance, we have the choice. And if we don't pause and notice it so that we can choose, then we'll just go into the same old cycles. But we need to pause so we can notice, so we can choose.
Absolutely. And so the tagline for our episode today is raising your standards, lowering the noise. And I want to talk a little bit about lowering the noise. So people might be confused by that. But if you think about the amount of noise that goes on in our heads when it comes to being involved with drama, it's like there all the time. And it takes over. If you think about this as being the most expensive real estate in your head, and it takes over your real estate, you can't sleep. You start gossiping about it. You start telling other people about it. But you've never actually acknowledged that you're part of it, number one. And number two, you've never looked at, well, what can I do so I don't get involved in this again? Or what can I do to find a solution so I'm not involved in something like this again? And when that doesn't happen, it's a repeat pattern. And so some people are always surrounded by drama. It reminds me of, I want to say, and I hope I get it right, from Charlie Brown. I think it's Linus, who always had like some kind of like, they had some kind of marks around him, like he, like a tumbleweed or something when he was walking. And I just imagine that we're surrounded by this energy, and it's negative energy, and people can feel it when you walk into a room. It's like, oh, drama's here.
That's very true. And for those of us that has raised our standards and do not want to interact with it, it also means that, well, we won't interact with that person, right? Because we don't want to be a part of that noise, and we will take ourselves away from it. It reminds me of especially the lowering the noise piece, of a very visceral experience I had of this, where my mother-in-law was struggling with something on her phone. I cannot remember exactly what it was. And she was trying to get it sorted out and asking for help all the while we were actually also watching TV at the same time. And unfortunately, at that stage, the episode or the program that we were watching had an impact on me of getting frustrated. There was some fighting happening on the TV itself, and then she was trying to sort this thing out, and it had this energy of getting heated. And the lowering the noise, I just told my husband, can you please just pause or switch that volume down of the TV so my brain can actually function and it feels like I don't have all of that noise. So it was a physical experience of this lowering the noise, and it made such a difference. Just switching off one of those channels, right? I couldn't exactly switch off my mother-in-law because she needed assistance, but we could switch off the TV. We could put it on pause so that channel wasn't introducing more noise anymore. And that, I do think that when we are in a place where we have these dramas happening, is the more people, situations, things that we add into it, the bigger the noise. And Dr. Jacalyn, you said before, we basically stoking the fire inside, right? So we're making it even bigger. And when we do that, I know for myself, my brain doesn't want to function. If my brain doesn't function, I can't get out of it because I can't be creative anymore. I just want to switch everything off. And I don't know, Dr. Jacalyn, is this something that you have experienced in some way, shape, or form before in life?
Absolutely. And I feel like the words drama and gossip go together. They seem to have a lot in common. So people might not even realize it when they are gossiping. But someone said to me recently, and I thought it was a great point. They were in a room of people, and a certain group of people were talking about someone who wasn't there. So she entered the conversation and she said, you know what, I think I'm going to go and call XYZ and put her on speaker so that she can hear what the conversation is, so she can be part of it. And of course, that caused quite a drama. So think about, how are you spending your time? What are you thinking about? What are you talking about? Who are you spending your time with? And then when you think about that, what is it that you're creating? So you were just talking, Mariska, about being in a creative mindset. When we are in a place of negativity, which to me is gossip and lower vibrations, that is also in a drama state. And so it's difficult, if not impossible, to be in a creative state. So to me, I see them as polar opposites. What about you?
I agree. If we are in that drama, gossip spaces, it is not a high energy, right? It has a tendency to draw us even lower down. So it gets worse and worse and worse, because now we are comparing worst stories, right? I want to be even worse than this other person potentially. So it keeps dragging us down. Whereas when we are in a creative space, and we also know from the neuroscience, if we are in that fight or flight or negative energetic space, we basically want to just protect ourselves. We want to make sure that we can survive. That's it. So the primary goal is, how do I survive this? But when we get into our higher vibration, better, higher energy spaces, there we can be creative. And now we can actually solve problems, because we look at the problem from a totally different point of view. And really, when you think about gossiping, or when I think about gossiping, what am I doing? I am spreading negativity, or my perception of negativity of this other human being. That's typically not things that you would like to say to the human's face, as per your example. We don't really want them to know, because it's not coming from a place of caring and love. If it did come from a place of caring and love, I would have had a radical candor conversation with that person, not with everybody else. So understanding what we are doing when we are in that gossip space. If I am praising the person, I am celebrating them, that's not gossip, right? That's celebrating the other human being with other human beings around us. And if they walk into that conversation, I won't mind. It's like, you know what? We were just celebrating you and all the things that you've been achieving. So I don't mind if they come into that conversation. So for me, a good indication of whether I am stepping into a gossip conversation, or a lower energy conversation, or a higher energy conversation, is how will I feel if the person that we are talking about potentially comes into this space? And do I really need to talk about that person? Is this relevant in any shape or form for me to talk about? Because if they're not there, what benefit are they actually having about that conversation?
Very true. Very true. Good points. And I think that many of us can understand the word detox when it comes to health and wellness. We're going to detox. We're going to stop eating things, stop drinking things. Maybe we're going to go for some kind of treatment. We can understand what it is. But when we ask people to detox their thought process, or detox the choices that they're making, that becomes more difficult, because looking at ourselves in the mirror, as you had mentioned at the beginning of this show, we don't always want to be honest about what we see. But what is clear is, if your life is filled with drama, you're not the only one who's going to see it. And when we've done work on ourselves, we want to stay away from drama, because drama, it's like this big hook and it just pulls you in and sucks you in and turns you around and then spits you back out. But many people are not at that stage. So we're not here to judge. We're just here to bring suggestions and awareness. So let's talk about the other part of our tagline for the show, which is raising your standards. I think it's sort of elevating your mindset, elevating the choices you make, elevating the community you're in. What do you think of, Mariska, when it comes to detoxing your drama, raising your standards?
I think when I look at raising my standards, one of the first things that come up for me is boundary setting. So if I know what's my hard boundaries, what's my soft boundaries, where do I have negotiation space around things, I have better clarity on when I can say yes to a conversation and when I'm going to say no to a conversation, when I will step into the conversation and when I will step out of the conversation. I also, when I'm thinking about raising my standards, is how aligned am I living to the values that I have? Because if I'm living in alignment with those and whatever value it is that you might have, it makes it a lot easier to then detox the drama out of your life, right? I mean, if it's not in alignment with you, don't interact with it. It's easy as that. It might be that we have environments or, as you mentioned, communities that might not be in alignment. So it really then goes back to the detoxing of it. Have a bit of a look at what's the things, who do I want to be as a human, right? Really look at myself in the mirror. Who do I want to be as a human? If I were to die one day or even tomorrow, what do I want people to say about me? That I was the biggest drama creator on the planet? Well, I don't. Honestly, I don't want to be talked about that way, because that to me does not add any value to my life, other people's lives, or even just the planet in general. If that is what you want to do, well, go for it. We will also not ever meet in all likelihood, because I will remove myself from those conversations. So understanding what that is for you, what's your values, what's the things that you really, truly, from a inner space, from your heart place, want to say yes to and want to say no to. I know that I work with some people pleasers from time to time, and they do find it really, really difficult because they want to make sure that everybody around them is happy, right? That to them is really important. But by doing that, they make themselves extremely miserable. And it goes back to the whole analogy that we have on airplanes. We need to put our own mask on first, because if we are suffocating, we can't help anybody else. But if we have enough air, we can help more people. So understanding that we need to take care of ourselves first. And that's part of your raising your standards, making sure that you can be the best you can be. And if that means that you need to detox a few places in your life, going through your social circles, whether they are giving you life or taking it away, that's another great way, I think, for measuring for me whether this is a good energetic match or not, is understanding, is it giving me energy or is it draining energy? If it drains energy, right, what about it is draining? Because there's something wrong. And if there's something wrong, it most probably needs some detoxing. So it is toxic, hence the draining. It's killing me slowly. So any thoughts from your side, Dr. Jacalyn, there?
Yes, actually, I have an example that I'd like us to look at with the time we have left today, because it's one that gets posted on social media quite often. So we're going somewhere. We're going to book a flight somewhere. And when we go to book the flight, we get to choose a seat. And typically, every time I've ever seen it, there's a diagram. And the diagram shows there are aisle seats, there are middle seats, and there are window seats. So we haven't booked early enough, and it looks like there's only middle seats left. So we get the middle seats, and then we get on the plane, and then we ask someone to switch with us, and we come up with whatever the situation is. And obviously, there are real situations. So a real situation is a person is pregnant, going to have a child. Now, was the person pregnant when they booked the flight? I don't know. Or there's a medical reason. There's all kinds of reasons that people can come up with. So my question to you is, and I'm not picking sides, I'm not going one way or another. Someone pays for a seat and they would know exactly what seat number they're going to sit in. And then they get on the plane, and someone who paid more money for an aisle seat or a window seat is now asked to switch with the person in the middle. So to me, every time I've seen it, that's not true. Maybe one or two times it didn't happen this way, but there's always some kind of drama because the person in the middle seats starts to accuse the person, insult the person, put the person down, and the person who paid for the seat defends themselves, and then the drama ensues. What are your thoughts about this? Is the person in the middle seat, and we're generalizing, knowing that they purchased the middle seat, are they looking for drama? Are they looking to stir the pot? Are they looking for someone who just will easily cave in and say, you know what, even though I paid more for this seat, I'm going to give it to you?
That is a very interesting hypothetical.
Yes, but real, actual real situation. It happens quite a lot.
I can see that poor airline hostesses might have their hands full with having constructive conversations on an airplane with people that might be a little bit touchy about the seat that they were allocated. I think it is really situation dependent. So what is the physical requirement for it, right? Is what is there, what isn't there? So as you were explaining that, one of the things that I thought about is, you know, those seats that you get that's close to the, if in case of an emergency, you need to pop these doors out. Yep. So if you are in the exit row, they give you a whole, are you capable of doing that? And now those seats typically is more expensive because you have more leg room. And if you have vision problems, you're too old, you have disability of any sort, right? Even if you booked it, you can't sit there. It's not safe to sit there. So they will need to move you, and you don't have a choice in the moving. So if there is something like that, it becomes a negotiation. And to me, it's a negotiation. It's not a fight. It's a negotiation. We see how we can best help each other out. And typically, people don't wake up in the morning going, I'm going to be the most miserable person on the planet. I don't think people do that. Maybe some do, but typically I don't think they do that. And you don't go to an airport going, I want to be the most miserable person on the planet. And at airports, I know for myself in any case, it's stressful. It's just part of the nature of it. We get all put into a very small tin can, and then we are going to fly somewhere and we need to sit with whoever it is. And hopefully there's people around you that you can stand for that amount of time. And we aren't always lucky enough to have that. You might have crying babies and people talking very loudly or being drunk or whatever the case might be, right? So there's other things that might impact it, and we can still all be human. So the thing that I would think about is, if I'm going to defend or if I'm going to attack, both of them has an energy of pushing to it. So both of them has some, if I'm defending, I'm doing this, right? If I'm attacking, I'm doing this, but both of them pushes. And as soon as I push, the other person's going to push. So why not look at it from a, well, is this, for whatever reason, a valid thing? And it might be valid for them. And financially, how does that impact the whole thing? Is it a financial consideration that I need to take into account or not? Is the seat so much different? And is that something that needs to be accounted for, or can the person maybe go sit in a different area of the plane? I also know that they have manifests for a reason. So you are allocated a seat so that they can, in the case of an emergency, again, know who are sitting where and who is or isn't missing in the process. So there's a few things that comes to mind with swapping seats. I won't easily just swap a seat. Not because I don't want to swap the seat, but because there is other regulatory implications to it as well that we need to keep in mind within that space. So that's a tricky one, Dr. Jacalyn.
Well, I'll just share this. This is how I feel. I feel like if you go on to book a flight and they don't have the seat that you want, go on another flight. I don't think it's fair to pay for a seat that you don't want to sit in and then approach someone on the flight, someone you don't know who paid for their seat, and expect them to change. So this actually happened to me, just a quick story, on an international flight. I specifically picked the aisle seats, and a family came in and they wanted to sit together. They were sitting next to me. You know, the international flights have huge, I think they have 1, 2, 3, I don't know how many sets of seats, but a lot. Mm-hmm. And so there was one child who wasn't going to be sitting with, no, actually there were going to be 2 of them in the row ahead and then the rest. So one of them asked me to move. And I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm not able to move. I have a health condition. And they made fun of me until they fell asleep. All they did was talk about me and belittle me. And I didn't get engaged. So when you think about drama, I did not engage in the drama because I thought to myself, the issue that you have is that you're not getting your way, that you thought you could bully me into doing what you wanted so you could get your way. But the truth is, when they booked the tickets, they saw that there was one seat that wasn't going to be with them. So then don't book the flight. So my point is, if you're not someone who's into drama, why create situations that are filled with drama? Get on the flight. Everyone sits where they're supposed to sit, and that's it. It's not forever. It's for a certain number of hours, just like on another international flight, there were 2 women who were sitting maybe 3 rows ahead. Everyone was sleeping. I had my noise canceling headphones on, and they talked at the top of their lungs. They were drinking and they had their lights on and they just kept talking and talking. So I didn't go and say anything to them because they have the right to sit where they are and do what they're doing. So my point is, don't put yourself in a situation that's going to cause drama if that's not what you want the outcome to be. Look at your own behavior and then make a decision that's conducive to peace. So that's where I'm always looking for, what are the peaceful decisions? And in the situation I gave about the family who was making fun of me, that was on them. Let them make fun of me because they're upset that they can't get their way. When you're booking your tickets, pick the seats that you want. And if you can't get the seats you want, book on a different flight. It's very simple.
Yeah. Or arrange it. I mean, there's a saying, play the cards you're dealt.
Yes.
Right. So if you are in poker, you have to play whatever cards you have. And you can bluff or try to make as if you have a better hand potentially than you have. So then you start to play the people around you, but you need to still play the cards. And in a flight, the seats that you have is the seats that you have, right? So if for whatever reason the family couldn't all sit together in one row, well, then somebody's going to have to sit not in that row. And if you don't want the children to sit in a separate row for whatever reason, then one of the adults will have to sit in the other row. So it's easy enough to sort out. And you need to think about that up front, because the likelihood of anybody wanting to swap seats for any reason with you is very, very low. You can ask, it's a request. And they have the right to say no. That's their decision, not yours. Yours was to book the flight and not have all your seats in one spot. So, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm with you on that one. And it's really, if they decide to be all pestering, that shows who they are, not who you are.
That's right. You don't have to get in. You don't have to go there. You don't have to jump into the mud pile. But we have to jump out of the show because we are over our time. So, Mariska, it's another fun episode with you. Thank you so much. For people who are interested in working with you, who's a good client for you and how would they reach you? Are you taking on new clients?
Yes, taking on new clients. So if you are a leader wanting to step into leadership, so you are new to the process, or you want to step up within your leadership space, please do get hold of me so we can start working on, well, how to do not only that, but also bringing in more humanness into your area. And I'm also starting to work on development. So how do we develop ourselves? What's the process that we go through within our own spaces? It's still an exploratory place for me. So I will, in all likelihood, during this year, at some point, start to mention a little bit about that. So I thought I'd bring that in now so that you can start thinking about how your development works. And I would, of course, love to have conversations about that as well, because I love to hear what different people think about it, how they see it. It always enriches my own thinking too. So, and I love any enriched thinkings.
All right. Thank you so much. We are showing your website. So for people who are on an audio platform only, Mariska, website is?
Website is Journey, so JOURNEY, 2, Discover, DISCOVER.com. And then you can also get me at Mariska, so MARISKA, at Journey2, Discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, I would be Mariska du Preez. If you are closely connected to me, if you are a little bit further away from me, I might show up as Mariska DU. And you can see the lovely photo that I have on my profile. So you know that you have found the right one. And from that space, you can just do a direct message and we can start our conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mariska. I appreciate you being here. And if you missed the beginning of our show, you can go over to our playlist, A Woman's Prerogative, on USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube. And also you can watch it live on E360 TV at the top of the hour. So Mariska, we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye. And for those who don't know, I actually have our YouTube Silver Creator Award right here. Here it is for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. And that's what we have there in the corner, if you can see. So I just wanted to share that with you because I have a new studio and it's prominently located in the studio. So if you haven't done so yet, drop whatever you're doing. That's right. Right now, drop what you're doing, please, and go over to subscribe on our YouTube channels. We have two of them, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, you can go to our website, which is, surprise, usaglobaltv.com. It's also usaglobaltvandradio.com, but that's longer to type. All right. I appreciate you being here. We're going to close out and we will see you next week, same time, same location. So thanks for being here. Bye for now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.